which something that I thought interesting as well, because the poet had written this and he knows that the reader is reading it, but he explicitly mentioned it that, Hello everyone! From dramas to webtoons to novels, explore Korea's story with us. This is Who Reads Story. My name is An Sung-jin and I'm a reporter, and here with us we have Andrea. Hello Andrea.
Hi everybody, hi. So my name is Andrea. I'm from Colombia and I'm studying my master here right now.
Great to have you again, Andrea. And today we're going to be talking about something special. We're going to be talking about Korean poetry for our readers and our viewers today. And today I had some thinking on who or which poet I should be introducing. And today I decided to bring someone who's called the idol among the poets, among our younger readers. And his name is Hwang Inchan. And the book itself is called You Have Reached the End of the Future. It's a collection of poems written by him as well as other authors. So now I'd like to introduce the poem that we're going to be going over today. Again, as I mentioned, the poem title is You Have Reached the End of the Future. And it's very thin. As you can see, it's not a very thick book that we have over here, but it talks a lot about dreams, realities, it talks about images of animals, and also, not to mention, it talks a lot about the daily scenes of our everyday lives, which I think is why poem can be sometimes special. And including the one that is titled, it's a collection of poems, so we have several different poems going on as well. And the poet includes an essay and a note at the very end of the poetry, which is why I guess it makes it a little bit more special, because we can actually delve into the world of the poet himself. And today, that's why we've each chosen a poem to talk about and introduce to all of our viewers. And I guess, shall I begin?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so the poem that I chose is titled, let me get to it. It is titled Evening Bell. I'm sure our readers can't see it from far away, but it's on page 26 if any of our readers decide to get the book. And I will be reading it paragraph by paragraph. Evening Bell. Lots of people were waiting for the bell to be rung. Fireworks exploded. Shouts and cheers could be heard. Let's go somewhere, anywhere now. I was grateful for those words. Above our heads, uncountable things are falling. The bell had at some point stopped ringing. People walked past the riverbanks, past Han River, past other people who had already died. They were walking the new year. People kept walking on past the crumbled apartments, past the spindly trees lining the street. Let's go somewhere, anywhere now. Merciful, useless words. Bells echo through the air again. The new year began in the middle of the night. This is the poem that I chose.
It feels really different when you are listening to another person reading
right?
it out loud, because the sensation when you read it is like, okay, kind of I'm feeling what is happening, but then when you are listening to another voice, it's also if the other person is telling you the story.
Right.
Yeah, so I think it's nice, like also like that sensation.
But now you know.
Yeah.
And for you, Andrea, now I'm gonna pass over the book so you can please enlighten us with your favorite poem that you had find out during this collection of poems.
Well, like, to be sincere, I like many.
As you can see with the post-its.
Yeah, I have more before, but then also when reading the essays, for me it was interesting, like some parts related like to the use of poem or poetry inside of the body of the content. So I'm going to read it then. So it's in page 39 if you want to read it later. And then it's called Shatterproof. So rain falls. When I start a poem like this, it's like I have been already finished the poem. When I start a poem by talking about poetry, it's like I've managed to write something. The way talking about love makes you feel a little more in love. But what should happen after the rain falls? Whether to talk about the rain or describe two people in the rain, the smell of dirt on rainy days, or the heavy damp sensation of wet clothes as a mood. Rain falls once I have written that down, I feel relief. Work going okay? When you asked, the darkness of night was approaching outside the window, and now that the outdoors have darkened, the windows reflects what's inside. There you see two people facing each other in the soft and cozy atmosphere, choosing their words carefully because there is so much to say. I should leave things at that today. I come to think, as I watch your face, we smile and stand side by side at the door. There is someone knocking on the door, someone drenched in rain, someone calling me. And well, that's it. I like it a lot. I think that you have like this idea also of somehow romance and somehow also, let's say, daily experiences. Because, I mean, this sensation of finding another person inside or just like the experience of rain, it can happen here or it can happen in any
it's the daily
place.
lives.
And also like the description and how like the use of the words, I think it's beautiful. Also, as I said before, like when the author starts like, okay, I wrote this and this means that it finished like this, or that I already create this sensation,
Right.
and then poetry. I think that was really interesting because it was my first time like seeing a poet like talking about writing poetry inside
I'm writing
of
it
the
right.
body.
As I was just reading through the comments right now, and someone had mentioned that the texture of emotion really came through, which is why I agree when you were reading it, not only did the emotions really come through, but I agreed with the same point with you, because when you first start out, you start out with, I write this poem. That's kind of how the poem starts out with, which something that I thought interesting as well, because, you know, the poet had written this and he knows that the reader is reading it, but he explicitly mentions that, you know, I am going to be talking about this type of poem as well. And I also read through the comments that it's interesting how something so daily, so trivial, can even be a part of a poem, right? Literature isn't something about too much, it's something about daily things. It can be even, you know, something that you, our viewers, have been experiencing as well. So, not only have you given us recommendations on who to read if you're interested in Colombian poets, now we're going to be reading about the actual poem, or the actual title of the poem, thank you, which is You Have Reached the End of the Future. So Andrea and I will be sharing half and half, and I will start us off. You have reached the end of the future. At lunch, everyone's tied up. They go somewhere for a while and come back shortly. One takes a walk, another falls in the water. People keep wandering the outskirts of the park, and that is the life of moderns. I see, I understand. But this has no relation to understanding. I understand that as well.
Lovers breaking up under the middle light of afternoon, serious, sad faces they have. They are anticipating the freedom post-separation. It's not like we can go somewhere other than the park, but the walls continue. Because at lunch, everybody tied up. The person who fell in the water is walking out of the water now.
So what did you think about this poem? I mean, it's the title of the collection of poems, so the poet must have had some intuition when he was trying to put this as his main title. What did you think about it?
I think it's like first interesting like to have this experience of
Right,
reading
reading it half and half, yeah.
and like reading aloud, because I think that it's not something that usual. Like,
Right.
Normally you just read it like by yourself.
By yourself, right.
But then like this experience of doing it like with a group of people or with others, I think that you are also sharing more.
Right, you get to share the emotions.
Yeah.
So I've mentioned it in the beginning that this collection of poems at the end talks about essays and notes that the author, that the poet himself kind of provides us for the readers. Was there any part that you found particularly impressive or memorable from that part as well?
Well, I think that it was really interesting not to have just the poems, but essays like from the author, and also like from some people that knew the author and was describing him, because I like one part of the comments, apart like from the essay, that it was kind of a friend from him telling like, yeah, when we went to the zoo, the kind of experience that we have, how he was describing, and later like in the poems, it's usual to see animals, and
Right.
it's usual to see like this idea of like walking around, like maybe not the zoo, but like through life.
Right.
Yeah. And then like regarding regarding the essay itself, there is one part that he's talking about like being useful, or like if literature can be useful or is useless. And I think that this idea of have a use of something is difficult when we are talking about like literature or humanities in general.
Right.
Yeah. And then I think it was interesting because I'm going to read just like a small part here. It says, through this terrific dissertation, is talking about like another essay. Jung seems to be saying an indirect farewell to the value of useless literature, a belief long held within Korean literature history. I think like later, like with the essay, this idea of it can be useful or it can be useless, I think there is a dichotomy that it can be both. And I think like kind of the important part is, I don't know, like there is no a right answer. It
Right.
can be more than one. And sometimes it can be useful even like for representing something in particular about the historical epoch that is happening, even like for resistance, even like for portraying some ideas that maybe through another kind of content is not that easy. So here maybe it can be indirect. But at the same time, it can be just for the sense of beauty.
Pleasure,
Yes.
joy, right, exactly.
Exactly.
And so for today, we looked at You Have Reached the End of the Future by poet Hwang Inchan, and a collection of 5 poems, as Andrea is showing. We also read over 2 of our favorite poems. I read Evening Bell, and Andrea read Shatterproof. And it was special for me because not only have I read this poem in Korean, but it was also a chance for me to read it in English, so the translated version of it. And you kind of get the feel of both the original version and the translated version as well. And this is all we have for Who Reads Story today. Please like and leave a comment on our today's episode, and also subscribe to our channel. Today we had Andrea. Thank you for coming here.
Thank you.
And that's all we have for now. See you next time.
Bye.